Smoke covered the battlefield like a heavy blanket. Burning metal, broken armor, and fallen bodies filled the land. Only one warrior remained standing, an alien girl named Liara. Her silver armor was cracked. One side of her face was bleeding. She held her plasma spear tightly, breathing hard. Her long purple hair was tied back, stained with dust and blood. She looked around. Her unit was gone. Friends she had trained with since childhood dead, her commanders gone. Her people, the Orlan, had fought bravely to protect their home. But the enemy was stronger. They came from the outer systems, machines without souls. They didn't speak, they didn't sleep, they only destroyed. Everyone called them the Dronex Swarm. Now, Liara stood alone. Across the field, a group of Dronex approached. Their red eyes glowed through the smoke. Their sharp legs moved fast, metal slicing into the dirt. Liara knew they were coming for her. She didn't run. She had no energy left for fear. Instead, she raised her spear. If she was going to die, she would die standing. "Come," she whispered. "Let's end this." Suddenly, boom! A deafening sound cracked the sky. Wind pushed through the smoke. The ground shook. Liara fell to her knees, startled. From above, a bright flash of light appeared like a falling star. No. It was something else. A figure dropped from the sky and landed between her and the enemy. A human. He wore black and silver armor, unlike anything Liara had seen. His helmet hissed as it opened, revealing a face with pale skin, brown eyes, and a calm expression. He looked young but confident. Lyra's heart skipped. Humans were legends, ghosts of the past. Some believed they had vanished long ago. Others said they never existed at all, but this one was real. The Dronex paused for a second. Analyzing the new threat, the human didn't wait. He lifted a heavy arm cannon and fired. A beam of blue energy cut through the nearest Dronex, tearing it apart. Another blast took out two more. The machines rushed forward. Liara tried to stand, but her leg hurt too much. The human turned his head slightly. "You fought well," he said calmly. His voice was deep, steady. "But you're not alone anymore." He stepped in front of her like a wall, blocking the Dronex from reaching her. The machines attacked with claws and spikes. The human moved like a shadow, dodging, firing, smashing. Every punch from him broke metal. Every blast burned through steel. Liara had seen warriors fight before, but nothing like this. The human was fast, smart, and fearless. He fought like he knew every move before it happened. One by one, the Dronex fell. In minutes. It was over. Only silence remained. The human turned and walked back to Liara. She stared up at him, breathing hard. Her voice cracked. "You're human?" He nodded. "Name's Jack, Lieutenant Jack Rayner." Liara blinked. "I thought humans were extinct." Jack gave a small smile. "Not yet." She wanted to ask more, but the pain in her body became too much. She collapsed. Jack caught her before she hit the ground. "We'll talk later," he said softly. "Right now, you need rest." As darkness pulled her into sleep, Liara had one final thought. Why did a human come to save me? Liara woke up slowly. Her body ached, but the pain was softer now. Something warm wrapped around her blankets. She was lying on a bed. Not a battlefield, not a prison. A real bed. She opened her eyes. The ceiling above was made of strange metal with blinking lights. She sat up fast, confused but winced as her ribs throbbed. "Easy there," came a voice. Calm, steady. She turned her head. The human stood by a console, helmet off, brown hair. Messy, face marked with a faint scar across his jaw. His armor was scratched but strong. One of his arms was wrapped in cloth, burned, maybe, but he didn't seem to care. "You're safe," he said. Liara stared at him. "Where am I?" "Inside. My ship orbiting just above your planet." She glanced around. The room was strange, filled with glowing panels and soft humming sounds. Nothing like Orlan tech. It felt older, yet more advanced. She narrowed her eyes. "Why did you help me?" Jack shrugged. "Didn't like watching you die. You don't even know me." "I didn't need to." He sat on a chair near her bed. "I saw a fighter. I helped. Simple." Liara frowned. "Nothing is simple in war." Jack looked at her seriously. "You're right. That's why I broke the rule. Her ears perked up. Rule? Jack didn't answer. Instead, he reached into a compartment and tossed her a small silver orb. Pain suppressor for your ribs? She caught it carefully and stared at it. It was human tech. But unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries, I thought humans were just a myth, she whispered. A warning story for kids. Jack smirked. I heard the same about your kind. She pressed the orb against her side. A warm energy pulsed through her, easing the pain instantly. Then how are you here? He leaned back. Long story. But I'll give you the short version. My people hid. After the galactic wars, we saw what the galaxy had become. We chose not to return. She narrowed her eyes. So you're saying you broke your own people's laws to help me? He didn't answer at first. Then you reminded me of someone. Before she could ask who, a red alarm blinked on the wall. Jack stood quickly, tapping a screen. What is it? She asked. Drone X Patrol. Just a scout drone, but it might have seen us. Liara got to her feet, wobbling. Then we have to leave. He looked at her with surprise. You're in no condition? I'm not hiding while the swarm watches. Either you drop me, or you help me finish what we started. Jack tilted his head. Spoken like a soldier, Liara clenched her fists. Spoken like someone who has nothing left. There was silence, then Jack nodded. All right. Then let me show you something. He led her down a narrow hallway to the control deck. Through the main viewing window, she saw the planet's surface glowing far below. But what caught her attention was the map glowing on the display. A large signal pulsed deep underground beneath the ruins of her capital city, Liara pointed. That's the temple vault. Jack nodded. The Drone X are digging. They're after something. Her heart dropped. The Celestial Core? If they take it, they can power 1,000 warships. He looked at her. Then we stop them. She stared at him. Why are you really doing this, Jack? His jaw tightened. He didn't look away. Because this time, I couldn't stand by. Liara didn't know what to say. For the first time in her life, someone had helped her without being ordered. No alliance. No trade, no promises. Just a stranger from the stars, who came when she was alone. But deep inside, one question remained. What would the rest of his people do when they found out? The air inside Jack's ship was clean, but Liara still smelled smoke. Maybe it was in her mind. She stood alone in the hallway, staring at the locked door to the engine bay. Jack had told her to rest, but she wasn't the type to sit still. Especially not when things felt off. Jack was kind, brave, too brave maybe. No human just shows up in the middle of a war and saves a dying alien girl unless he had a reason, and that reason wasn't just kindness. Her fingers hovered over the control panel. It asked for a code. She smiled to herself. Orlan warriors were trained in code breaking from age 12, a few sparks. A soft beep. Unlocked. She stepped inside. The room was dark, filled with cables, glowing cores, and humming machines. But her eyes weren't looking at the tech. They were locked on a table at the back. Covered in weapons. Not normal weapons. Some were human-made. Others were clearly alien. Orlan, even old Zarel tech extinct for centuries. What kind of man carries forbidden weapons from 3 dead civilizations? She moved closer. One device caught her attention. A small black cube. She touched it, and a hologram burst to life. It showed Jack, but younger. No armor. He was talking to a group of shadowy figures. Our kind must remain hidden, a voice said. If the galaxy finds out, we die. Jack's voice was firm. If we stay hidden, others will die. Then let them. Our mission is survival. Jack stepped forward. No, my mission is hope. The message ended. Liara stood frozen. Jack wasn't just a soldier. He was a traitor to his own people. You shouldn't be in here, came a voice from behind. She turned slowly. Jack stood at the door, face calm, but eyes serious. I had to know the truth, she said quietly. And now you do, he replied. Why did you really come, Jack? He walked inside, stood beside her. His voice was low. I saw the Drone X rising. I warned my leaders. They did nothing, so I left. She pointed at the cube. You gave up everything. He nodded. I had to. She wanted to be angry, but she wasn't. She had lost everything too, that's why she understood. Still, one question remained. What do your people call themselves now? Jack looked out the small window. We don't use names anymore. Just numbers and jobs. I was Subject 17, Liara frowned. That's not a name, that's a cage. He smiled slightly. Yeah, that's why I chose Jack. Silence filled the room, then a sudden loud beep broke it. Red lights blinked overhead. Jack rushed to the console. His face changed. What is it? Liara asked. Something's triggering the vault's defense grid. From inside, her blood ran cold. That's impossible. No one has been inside the temple vault for decades, not even us. Then someone or something is there now, Jack said. He pressed a button, and the screen showed a grainy image, a tall figure armored in black and gold. Walking through the ancient stone halls of the Orlin vault, Lyra's hand tightened into a fist. That's not Drone X. Jack leaned in. No, it's worse. She turned to him. We have to stop them. Jack looked at her, serious. If we go there, there's no turning back. Liara met his eyes. Good, I don't want to turn back. For the first time, Jack didn't hide anything. He opened a hidden panel and pulled out a glowing spear Orlin made, but enhanced. With human tech, he offered it to her. Let's finish what your people started. She took it as they left the room together. The smoke of the past still lingered behind them, but in front of them was something even more dangerous. The secret buried in the vault, and whatever it was, it had already awakened. The wind howled. Through the broken towers of the Orlin capital, Jack and Liara moved quietly through the shattered streets, stepping over rubble and fallen statues of heroes long gone. Every corner whispered old memories. Liara had trained here. She had laughed here. She had lost everything here. Now she returned, not with her people, but with a human beside her. The silence between them was heavy. Still think this is a good idea? Jack asked as he scanned the road ahead with his visor. Liara didn't look at him. No, it's a terrible idea. But it's the only one we have. They both knew the truth. Their alliance was unnatural. Her kind and his kind were never meant to fight together. Their histories were soaked in fear and betrayal, even if most of it had turned into myth. Jack broke the silence again. You're quiet, Liara glanced at him. I'm thinking. About? She finally stopped walking. About how I was raised to fear you, Jack raised an eyebrow. Me personally or humans in general? Both, he chuckled. I'm flattered, she narrowed her eyes. It wasn't a joke. Your kind burned whole worlds during the galactic uprising. My great-grandmother called you demons with metal skin. Jack looked down at his armored hands. Sounds like us. Then why should I trust you now? He paused. Because I stayed when I could have left. She stared at him, unsure. Just then, a screech echoed in the distance. They both turned toward the sound. A scout drone zipped overhead, scanning ruins with its red eye. Jack moved fast. He grabbed Liara and pulled her behind a wall just before. The drone passed. For a moment, her body pressed against his. She could feel the heat of his armor. She looked up and realized something strange. He was breathing fast, not from fear, but something else. She stepped back quickly. Are you nervous? She asked, teasing slightly. Jack shrugged. Maybe. It's been a long time since I fought beside someone I actually liked. Liara blinked. I never said I like you. He smiled. You didn't have to. She turned away to hide the sudden heat in her cheeks. Let's keep moving. She muttered. They reached the entrance to the temple vault, a great golden door buried under layers of debris. Jack activated a drone from his belt that cleared the rocks. As the last stone fell, the door hummed and opened slightly. Liara stepped forward, but Jack stopped her. Wait, look. He pointed to strange markings burned onto the door symbols. Glowing red, that's Dronax code, Jack whispered. They've already opened it once and left a trap. Liara's face turned grim. They're expecting us? Jack reached into his pouch and pulled out a strange device. Then let's surprise them first. She raised an eyebrow. What's that? Stolen signal jammer. Works for about 30 minutes. After that, he didn't finish. She nodded. Then we only need 20. Inside, the vault was darker than Liara remembered. Glowing runes lined the walls. Every step echoed into the deep. They walked side by side, quiet. But something had changed. There was no more doubt between them. No more pretending they didn't trust each other. For the first time they fought as one, a sudden noise metal shifting. From the shadows, 4 modified Drone-X Guardians lunged forward. Jack didn't hesitate. His blaster sang out, tearing through armor. Liara leapt into the air, spinning with her spear. A clean strike, one drone shattered, but one of them reached Jack. Slamming him hard into the wall, he groaned, visor cracking. Liara screamed, charging forward. She stabbed the Guardian in its core, sparks flying. It collapsed. She rushed to Jack. "Are you hurt?" he coughed. "I've had worse. Just help me up." She grabbed his hand and pulled him to his feet. For a moment they stood there. Blood. Smoke? Fire between them? And yet, something strong. "Something real. Not bad for a demon in metal skin," she whispered. He smiled through the pain. "Not bad for a girl raised to kill me." They both laughed just a little, and then they moved forward again, together. They reached the heart of the vault. The room was massive, round, silent, glowing with ancient gold and crystal. In the center floated a sphere of light, the celestial core. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. This was the source of Aurelin power, the thing the Drone-X wanted. And Lyra's people had died to protect. Jack stood still, scanning. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Liara nodded. "And deadly. That much power, if it falls into the wrong hands." Jack didn't need to be told. He knew, he'd seen. Civilizations rise and fall for less. Just as they stepped forward, the floor trembled. A wall on the far side peeled open, revealing something they didn't expect. Not machines. Not drones, a living creature, a giant almost 10 feet tall with skin like dark armor and red glowing veins. It wore a cloak made of scorched metal plates and had long claws wrapped in energy. Liara stepped back. "That's not Drone-X. That's a hybrid." Jack's jaw tightened. "They're experimenting. Mixing flesh with machine." The creature growled, then spoke in a deep, distorted voice. "You brought the human," it said, staring at Liara. "Good, now I can kill 2 problems at once." Jack raised his weapon, but the creature didn't attack. Instead, it tapped the side of its head, and suddenly the walls lit up. Holograms filled the chamber, showing Drone-X ships, thousands of them, moving toward the stars, toward Liara's world. "While you hid here," the creature said, "your planet was marked. The next wave begins now." Liara's blood turned to ice. "They're going to wipe out the last cities." Jack turned to her. "We need to stop the signal, now." The hybrid charged. Jack opened fire, but the creature was too fast. It moved like a shadow, dodging and smashing. One swing of its arm sent Jack flying into a column. His armor sparked and he didn't get up. Liara screamed and attacked with her spear. Spinning, slicing, but the hybrid caught the weapon mid-air. It lifted her by the throat. "You, Aurelin, always believed in honor," it hissed. "Let's see how that helps you die." Just as her vision darkened, boom, a blast from Jack's pulse grenade hit the creature's back, forcing it to drop her. Liara gasped for air and rolled away. Jack, barely standing, shouted, "Get to the core, shut it down." "But, go." She ran to the control altar near the core and slammed her hand on the panel. Symbols lit up. Her voice trembled as she spoke the ancient command. "Guardian's vow, lockdown protocol code Sunfire." The core responded. Energy surged. The vault began to tremble. The hybrid roared in fury and charged toward her, but Jack tackled it from behind, driving his blade into its back. The creature howled and thrashed, but Jack held on. "Do it, Liara!" he shouted. "Now!" Liara looked at the core. It was glowing brighter now. If she completed the sequence, it would release an energy burst strong enough to destroy the vault and everyone inside. She hesitated. "Jack, do IT?" With shaking hands, she slammed the final rune. A white light filled the chamber. When the dust settled, only broken stone remained. The hybrid was gone. The core, dark, and lying near the center, half buried in rubble, was Jack. Liara rushed to him. His armor was cracked, his breathing weak. "You idiot," she whispered, holding his head. Why did you have to play the hero? He opened one eye. You would have done the same. She smiled through tears. Yeah, but I'm smarter than you. He coughed a weak laugh. Debatable. She checked his pulse. Faint but alive, but then she heard something else. A pulse. Not from him. From above. She looked up. And saw a faint signal blinking on the ceiling. Dronak's beacon tech. Her heart dropped. Destroying the vault stopped the hybrid. But the signal had already been sent. She stood slowly. Outside. Across the stars, the swarm was coming, and they were out of time. The rain fell softly on blackened stone as smoke curled into the sky. Liara stood outside the ruined vault. Her armor torn, her heart heavier than ever. Behind her, Jack lay on a stretcher aboard his ship, barely breathing. She had wrapped his side with her own sash oral and silk. Sacred, but it did little to stop the bleeding inside him. They had won a battle. But the war was now racing toward them. Above, in the night sky, silver streaks glowed like falling stars. Only they weren't stars. They were Dronak's ships. The swarm had heard the signal. And now they were coming, all of them, Liara whispered, staring at the sky, because we were too late. Inside the ship, Jack stirred. She rushed to his side. His voice was faint. How bad is it? They're sending a whole fleet, she replied softly. 30 minutes, maybe less. Jack tried to sit up, failed, his eyes locked onto hers. Then it's time. For what? He tapped a blinking pad on the console beside him. A red switch glowed. Lyra's eyes widened. No, you're not doing that. I have to, Jack said. That's a self-destruct signal. For the ship, yes, and the core battery I've hidden inside. It's enough to wipe out their landing zone, enough to stop them. She grabbed his wrist. You're too injured. You won't make it out before the blast. He didn't answer. Jack, please. His face was calm, even with the pain. I came here knowing I might not go back, but I didn't expect to care this much. Liara looked away. Don't say that. Mean it, he whispered. Meeting you changed something in me. She clenched her jaw, blinking fast. There has to be another way. There isn't. He placed something in her hand, a small memory crystal, glowing blue. What is this? My people's location. If I die, give this to someone who still believes in hope. Liara stared at the crystal. You said your kind wanted to stay hidden. They did, he whispered. But maybe they'll listen, if it's you who asks. Outside. Alarms rang across the ship. The swarm had entered the atmosphere. She shook her head. No, I'm not letting you do this, he smiled faintly. You don't have a choice. Suddenly he pushed her hard. Liara stumbled back. A force field dropped between them. No! She screamed, slamming her fists on the energy barrier. I set the timer, Jack said, voice calm despite everything. You have 5 minutes to escape. Damn you, human! She shouted, tears running down her cheeks. You stubborn, arrogant hero, he smirked. Idiot. He smiled wider. Takes one to love one. She froze. Those words, he had said love, and somehow she realized it wasn't a joke. The engines of the ship began to hum, redirecting. Power. The countdown started flashing on the wall. 4:59, 4:58. Liara, Jack said one last time, voice barely a whisper. Live for me, please. Her fists shook, but she backed away. The doors behind her opened. She turned. Ran. Never looked back. The sky turned white behind her as Jack's ship exploded in the distance. The sound was like thunder, echoing across the mountains. A wall of flame tore through the clouds, erasing the Dronak's drop pods in a single blast. The swarm had been stopped. For now, Liara collapsed to her knees, breath caught in her throat. He was gone. Gone. The human who changed everything. For her, for the war, for the galaxy. Later that night, the flames died down. Liara stood on the edge of a cliff, clutching the blue crystal he had given her. Behind her, the stars shimmered. And somewhere, far away, Jack's people waited. She stared into the dark sky and said quietly, You didn't just save me, Jack. You lit a fire in a world that forgot what warmth felt like. 3 weeks passed. The war paused, not ended, but quieter. The Dronex swarm had lost their main signal node. Without it, their ships drifted, leaderless, some crashing into distant moons, others frozen in orbit. For now, the galaxy breathed. Again, and Liara had changed. She was no longer just a warrior, she was a symbol. Her people whispered her name with reverence. The last defender, they called her. The girl who walked with fire. But they didn't know the full story. They didn't know about the human who stood beside her in the shadows. The one who saved her not with orders but with choice. The one who gave up everything so others could live, and she hadn't told them, not yet. Liara stood on the icy plains of Naraxis 6, a hidden moon lit only by the pale glow of its twin stars. In her hand, she still held the small glowing crystal Jack had given her. The signal from it pulsed faintly. She had followed it here. To the edge of known space. Ahead of her stood a tall gate of black stone, guarded by silent figures, humans. Real humans, their eyes widened when they saw her approach. One of them, a woman with gray hair and a deep scar down her face, stepped forward. She wore no weapons, only a badge with a strange symbol. HFY 17. Who are you? The woman asked. Liara raised her head. I'm Liara of the Orlin. Jack Rayner sent me. The woman froze. Slowly, she took the crystal from Lyra's hand and slotted it into a nearby console. Blue hologram flickered to life. It was Jack. His voice filled the cold air. If you're watching this, I'm gone, but if she made it here, I was right. She's proof that we don't have to hide anymore. Trust her. Help her. She's not just a warrior. She's the future. The hologram vanished. Silence followed. Then the older woman looked at Liara and bowed. We've waited a long time for someone brave enough to bring us back, she said. Liara blinked, surprised. What do you mean? You didn't just save your world, the woman said softly. You gave us a reason to believe again. Days later, Liara stood before a gathered crowd, Orlin and humans side by side. For the first time in centuries, the two species stood together. Without fear, Jack's sacrifice had opened a door, and Liara had walked through it. She now wore new armor, part Orlin silver, part human black steel. Her spear was rebuilt with tech from both worlds. A child approached her, barely 5, holding a drawing. It showed two figures, one tall in armor, and one smaller with purple hair, standing in front of a burning sky. That's you and the human, the child said. My papa said you were friends. Liara knelt down, smiled, and said gently, more than that. The child tilted her head. What were you? Liara looked to the stars. Then she said softly, we were each other's reason to keep fighting. The night, Liara walked alone to the hill where Jack's final message had first played. She stood beneath the stars, holding the crystal again. I kept my promise, she whispered. I lived for you, but that wasn't enough. She took a deep breath. So now I'll fight for you too. She placed the crystal inside a glowing monument, the first human Orlin memorial stone ever built. His name was carved across it. Jack Rayner, the human who stayed. As she walked away, the wind blew gently, not cold, not harsh, but warm, like a whisper from the stars.